The next guest speaker, ladies and gentlemen, needs no introduction whatsoever. Since the beginning of the dramas that have hit Canterbury, he has shown Hercules-type strength. And I'm pleased to say that despite his haircut, he still has that same strength, which means that he's even greater than the biblical one. Ladies and gentlemen, Roger Sutton.
Good morning, everybody. It's really great to be here. And I'm going to do this terrible thing. I'm going to use some PowerPoint. I don't know if I've actually used PowerPoint in the last 3 years, but I thought actually some of these numbers are actually worth seeing. And also I thought if you're going to have a whole day on this stuff, it'd be worth sort of anchoring it with some fundamental metrics. Is that kind of okay with everybody? You haven't got any choice anyway. Bang. This is construction volumes. So Christchurch, Canterbury used to run around at about 300 to 400 million a quarter. We're now running at something over 800 million a quarter. And those numbers there actually exclude the horizontal infrastructure, which is running at about another 150 million a quarter. So the numbers are currently running at nearly $1 billion a quarter from three, sort of that 300 or 400 million. So we're up 2 or 3 times what we were prior to the quakes. Bang. Next one. The insurance stuff, we could have a whole month talking about insurance issues. If you want to do that, we're not going to. But overall, the people under cap, about 70% of them are now settled. The overcap people are running at something a little over 40%. Overall, it's running at something over 60%. I mean, one of the things we've got in New Zealand is people have got such comprehensive insurance. It actually takes longer to settle because most people actually want to get their houses fixed. They don't just want the cash, which is what happens in almost every other country where people compare how fast insurance issues are getting resolved. Bang. Click. Click. The skirt stuff, the horizontal infrastructure. So there, very, very good progress is being made. And in fact, I'm yet to run into anybody who's told me they can't flush their toilet or drink the water because of something that's going on in the main network. Bits of the network are overall more than 50% through. The roads are obviously going to be the last thing that gets fixed. And then bang, the next slide. I just thought some outrageous employment numbers. And the number, 19,000 jobs have been created in Christchurch in the last year. 19,000, extraordinary. Male unemployment, that number along the bottom, is running at 2.3%. It's dropped nearly halved in the last year. I mean, just amazing stuff. So let's get rid of all that stuff. They're all pretty boring, really. But I thought it was actually important that we did sort of anchor some of the discussions today about the fact that the rebuild is fully underway, and some of the issues like the employment stuff is actually going to drive other issues going forward because there simply aren't a whole lot of people sitting around needing to do things at the moment, looking for work. Most of the new people that are going to come here, they're going to be participating in the rebuild, are going to be coming from overseas. So some of the obstacles. I mean, the first one, which Lyle alluded to, was the whole speed and quality trade-off. Everybody wants everything done quickly. People in squalor have to be fixed more quickly. But also, we have to do things properly as well. This is our once only ever opportunity to do some things really, really well. We've done a lot of hard things already, whether it be zoning stuff, foundation standards for houses, a blueprint. But if you buy the wrong sort of light bulb, you've got that for a year. Or 2 or 3 years was a good quality light bulb because I'm that sort of guy. But if you buy the wrong sort of car, you've got that for 4 or 5 years. But if you build your cities the wrong way, if you build the wrong sort of buildings, you're stuck with that for 100 years. And I, as a leader, want to operate in a community where people give me a mandate to do things properly. And we do, at certain times, take extra time to make sure we are actually using the very best experts and come up with things we'll be proud of, not just next month and next year, but in 10, 20 and 30 years' time. There's still a lot of hard issues to work through in the city, and they will take time. David talked about the future use of the red zone. That's incredibly important we get that right. And we will be announcing very soon about a public process to be working with the wider community on the future use of those areas. next issue I was going about in terms of obstacles was making sure we put the effort into fixing the boring stuff as well. I as a leader, Leanne as a leader, David as a leader, people want to talk to us about the sexy stuff. They want to talk to us about pools, they want to talk to us about convention centres, but actually a lot of the boring stuff is actually a lot more important than that sexy stuff. And we need an environment where we actually do that boring stuff really well. As David said, taking an hour to get across the city the other day, that's just drive anybody, or hour and a half, that just drive anybody absolutely insane. I can't actually quite understand why he just doesn't take a bike with him, eh? But anyway. But seriously, this is it. There's lots to talk about, a lot of issues, but the transport stuff is really, really fundamental. A city with fantastic civic amenities but crap transport, actually, I think, is actually a crap city. And we have to make sure in this next period we get those sort of decisions absolutely right. I spent some time in Japan at the end of last year. A lot of their recoveries have been dominated by just sort of great, think big, beautiful projects that have fantastic opening ceremonies for a bunch of politicians. We've got to make sure that the projects we do here are the right scale and right size and do really meet the needs of our community. Institutions, that's something which is going to change over this next period. The institution that I run at CERA has been, a big dominant player in the last year, and over the next year, its role will reduce. Well, not over the next years. It's hard to see when my special powers expire in April 2016 that the government's role will expire at the same time. There'll still be a significant role for the government, whether it be overseeing big anchor projects, being involved in the infrastructure stuff, or just making sure the right resources in government come here to work and get the city really, really humming. But the key point I wanted to make here is those institutions within the community, we need to work with them to make them stronger as well. The other day I was going up to Arthur's Pass with my children to go for a walk, and we came across a car crash at Porter's Pass. A car had rolled, and as we left the scene, my 8-year-old son Jimmy said, "Daddy, will the government buy those people a new car?" He really did. And I thought that was a really, really interesting moment, that people think the government is here to kind of do, our 8-year-olds think the government's here to do everything. And the government will have a supporting role, but at the end of the day, we want strong communities who'll pick up a lot of this stuff and really, really make it go. The last thing was, in my 38 seconds, was vision. We don't have a common vision for what this region looks like in 10, 20, 30 years' time. And that's not CERA's role to bring together that vision. My role is to support a vision the wider leaders in this community come together with. And I think in this next period of time, as we rebuild things, as we really get the city moving, it's very important the cities and the communities here come up with a common vision about what we want to look like going forward. I started off today talking about stuff, buildings, infrastructure, and those sort of things. But at the end of the day, this recovery isn't really about that. It's about the people. And we need to be working harder to make sure what we build here really meets the needs of the people in this community. I look forward to the discussion. Thank you.